Hi, my name is Fernanda Castañeda.
Hi, my name is Francisco Diaz.
Hi, my name is David Suarez.
And we're going to talk about traditional Japanese architecture. Traditional Japanese architecture is mostly the one that was built between the 17th century and the 19th century, because in the 19th century, Japan started incorporating Western ideas. In this architecture, one of the most prominent characteristics is the dominance of wood. It is preferred over other materials due to the constant earthquakes in the country. And also, wood is really respected, so people didn't paint it. It was used in its natural form, therefore, of the grain could be appreciated. Also, the curvy elongated roofs are a focal point in the architecture. Not only the roofs are really attractive to the sight, but the caves of the roofs are designed really wide so they can protect the windows from the rain. It also relies in screens and sliding doors. These are used to divide rooms and are really similar. However, the screens let the light in due to the translucent paper that they have, but the sliding doors don't. The flooring is called tatami, originally made of rice straw and rush. It covers most of the surface and it gives a comfortable place to sleep and sit. The ngawa or verandas are also a staple piece in this architecture. It is like an outdoor corridor that resembles porches and also protects the house from the storms. Genkan is a some area in the house that people use to store their shoes. It separates the house from the outside and it is placed between the front door and the rest of the house. And last but not least, the traditional architecture has a really special relationship with nature. These houses have a lot of natural lighting within its raw form, and it is designed strategically so it could offer good views of the natural world.
The history. It began about 57 BC, and before this point, homes in Japan were made from wood, dirt, and wood floors, and very little and dirt floors, and very little differentiating them from similar homes 1,000 miles away. Sorry. Architects at this point and up until 660 AD were influenced by the Koreans. Buildings were made from stone and timber, and wood it was mostly an important material in Japanese architecture because of the volcanic nature of the islands. The most important buildings were the shrines, which were built in order to showcase the very best that the Japanese architects had to offer. Japanese architecture went through several periods of innovation over the history of Japan. The early 7th century was dominated by early wooden structures such as shrines, and temples built by the nobles. This period is known as the Asuka and Nara periods of architecture. The Heian period, which was in the 9th century, was a continuation of this, and also the period where the Chinese influence began as one of the most important influences. Wood temples began to spring up in great numbers, along with styles that were different. These are characterized by far simpler designs, reflecting the fact that the culture had often an influence of Western architecture, leading to some truly inspiring buildings of metal and concrete like the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. Although influenced by Korean and Chinese architects, the Japanese architects took things in a different direction again with their heavy reliance on materials other than stone and the echo in their religion. This created a unique and beautiful style of architecture. One famous artist is Kenzo Tange. It is regarded with one of the most influential architects of the last century. Influenced by Le Corbusier from an early age, his early works mirrored the aesthetics of Bauhaus architecture and the works of Walter Gropius. His first assignments included post-war redevelopments, which sharpened his sense of practicality in architecture. A famous piece of work is the Isukushima Shrine, which was built in 1593 BC by Saiki no Kuramoto. The name means island of worship. This shrine has been renovated several times throughout its history. It is an amazing sight to see, sitting in the water and surrounded by the beautiful Japanese mountain countryside.
Well, Japanese are changed a lot over time. Like, for example, we first knew about the prehistoric period. Our Japanese architecture is divided in periods depending on culture and government changes. The first one is known as the prehistoric period, and it draws a lot from the Han Dynasty in China, and they started with raised floors, which were supported by 8 pillars. During the during the Asoka period, Buddhism was introduced of the construction of new temples and the outlawing of tomb burials. Then came the Heian period, in which heavy materials such as stone and clay were abandoned, and the aristocratic style building called Shiden-zukuri appeared. Kamakura and Muromachi periods are marked because it's here when Japanese and Chinese architecture really began to differ because of the native problems such as earthquakes, which uh, required different techniques to make structures like the Daitsubuyo and Sensuyo. Afterwards, during the Edo period, great fortresses of stone began to be built for war. And lastly, the Meiji period or the Meiji Restoration, the architecture began to show a Western influence, especially in buildings associated with the military.
Thank you.